I think that the shirt is really, it fits really well with the first question. Last season, Nate betrayed Ted and then he signed for West Ham. So what were you more eager to explore in this season about him?
Oh goodness! Well, I feel like it's no surprise that Nate is a bit of a fish out of water now that he's left AFC Richmond, and he's got Rupert as a boss. I can't think of anybody more different to Ted Lasso to have as a boss and to have as a kind of guiding light in Nate's life. Undoubtedly, Rupert is a real kind of toxic force, and yeah, it's Nate is obviously I can't give away too much, but it's another rocky road for Nate. He's got a lot of soul searching to do. He's got a lot of justifying to do in terms of the decision that he made and that act of betrayal. And yeah, it's certainly not an easy, smooth transition. And yeah, Nate, I think, does have to account for his actions to a degree.
And do you see him as a villain this season or as someone who could become one?
I think what he did was quite villainous at the end of season 2, and definitely he's presented as the villain in season 3. I mean, him and Rupert. I mean, West Ham is presented as the kind of the evil club, like the enemy. But I think what's great about the show is that they show. Every villain kind of has an origin story, right? And I think there's a lot of unpacking to do with Nate's, how Nate, why Nate ended up doing what he did. I think there's a lot of unpacking to do on that front, and a lot of it does obviously stem from that quite toxic relationship he has with his dad. I think that accounts for a lot of his insecurities. That we've seen some of those play out in season 1 and 2, but we definitely get to explore that a lot more. Just because Nate is now working for a great new club and, has a fancy car and, probably more money and responsibilities and power, it's clearly not made him happy. And, Nate's tale is a cautionary one. And yeah, there's a way to go yet.
Yeah, and we see that he's hiding that insecurities behind a really arrogant attitude. Have you taken inspiration from any football coach in particular?
I've been asked this question before, and my answer is always, well, who do you think it might be based on? And I think that we both know who I'm talking about. No, I mean, listen, no disparaging remarks about Jose Mourinho and his ways, but obviously to a degree that and with some of the look with the grey hair and things like that, and the way he kind of goes about talking to certain players and things, so some of it was I think a little bit to do with that. But Nate is his own person, and Nate has his own. Like I say, there's a lot more to Nate, in terms of his journey and the relationship with his dad and his relationships with women. There's a lot to look at there, and that's original to the show rather than being based on anything else. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about the Ted Lasso is going to end with this season, and there's a lot of mystery about that. But when you were filming the season, did you feel that sense of closure that this was ending, or at least that this arc was ending?
Yes and no. Like, I think that there's a slight element of there's a cathartic quality to Nate's journey. I think in this season. But by no means it doesn't hint at it being conclusive. I mean, I don't mean to speak so kind of ambiguously. Obviously, I can't give too much away, but I think it's equally could be viewed as very open ended. I think the writers and the creators were really upfront about saying they had like a 3-season arc in mind in terms of some of the characters' sort of story development and so on. But I think that's quite normal if you're kind of pitching a show, showing that it's kind of got life after just one season, and that you would want to have at least sort of a 3-season arc in mind. And so I don't think that that's anything new. But I mean, it's a great season though. I mean, I know that they poured their heart and soul into these scripts, and they're so good. Like, I mean, it's such an easy thing to say, but I do feel like this season in particular sort of even head and shoulders above seasons 1 and 2. The amount that they managed to pack in is quite phenomenal, really.
Thank you so much, Nick. Have a really nice day, and I still have faith in
Thank you.
Nate.